Hey there guys, so Mark Yeater just dropped another patch preview for 11.4, so let's get right into it since it's going to be a pretty meaty one once again. System of C thread jungle position, we'll do that towards the end of the video since it is a whole thread just for jungle changes. Moonstone Manure's base heal goes from 7100 to 5100 by champ level is really important since it takes down the healing early, especially as it ramps up too. So pretty big here for sure, especially because I thought they were going to nerf Moonstone last patch, but turns out it took them this long. Everfrost's cast time now is 0.15 seconds instead of 0.25, so you'll be able to launch out that spell much faster. As it says that the spell delay is unchanged, so it will still have like that quick delay before it shoots out. It's just the cast time is faster. And they also changed the build path as well, which is super important since now there's a Kendall Gem, a Blasting Wand, and a Lost Chapter. So it gives you that ability to buy a Kendall Gem for HP, and also buffed the health a little bit and buffed the active damage. So I definitely think this is an item that will be used a lot more because it's very underutilized right now, and it's really strong on certain champions like Ahri, Kassadin, and some sorts of like that. And I'm sure we'll see more champions start to use it as the buffs really make a big difference on it. They also changed Cosmic Drive, which is a really scary change. So they removed the movement speed on spell hit, and now if you have 160 AP now, you gain 20 ability haste and 10 to 30 move speed. And the ability haste went from 30 to 20. But this way you gain 20 more on top of the 20 it already has if you have 160 AP. So this one item alone can give you a 40 ability haste if that's what you're aiming for. So some mages are going to look really insane with Cosmic Drive. Gwynsel's Rage Blade gets a 5% attack speed increase. That's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to make huge changes anywhere, because I think even Yi players are starting to ditch Rage Blade a bit and go more Duskblade Collector style. Hempunk Chainsword, Mortal Reminder, and Morello all got a small buff, 100 more HP, 5 more AD, and 10 more AP. I guess so they don't feel as bad when you buy them for reduced healing, because a lot of times you do have to buy them nowadays. The Samira change is very huge. This is probably the biggest highlight of this patch. So Samira's E can no longer dash to allies at all, and her dash speed went down from 2050 to 1600. It's still probably going to be pretty fast, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know how big that is. And the W duration went down by 0.25 seconds. The Q damage ratio was a flat 100 and is now a scaling 80 to 120% total AD ratio. And the passive melee damage ratio went from 7.5 to 3 to 9.5% total AD. And the arc cooldown went from 3 to 8 seconds. So overall, yes, she gets a little bit more scaling at max Q and max passive, but she lost so much damage and pressure early on because now she has to actually scale, doesn't have them fly. She can no longer dash to allies, and her art actually has a cooldown. 8 seconds is still not that long, but regardless, it's a cooldown, so she can't just instantly put it back on after she just finished resetting and her wore off. So very huge changes. Honestly, the champ might be pretty damn dead, and maybe they just want to clean slate and they'll rebuff her and see where it goes from there. But that is massive, actually massive nerf for this patch. Kai'Sa's Q base damage per missile went from 45 to 110 to 40 100, so just taking down a bit per missile. So the max single target damage before was 101.25 to 247.5 is now 90 to 225, so cutting down quite a bit of damage here, especially if over the lane you keep taking more and more missiles. And it also applies to evolved max missiles as well. Pretty big, especially since Kai'Sa is a top tier ADC right now. This gives her a little bit less prevalence in the bot lane. I don't think it'll be that big though, but it should help with the other top tier matchups into her. You take down Skarner's base HP and HP per level, probably because he's just too tanky when he's going an aggressive build with Phase Rush. Renekton's Q healing from minions went from 3.9 to 3.7, and the Q empowered healing from minions went from 9.27 to 9.21. I know this change had a lot of people fuming because Renekton isn't that good, and it's more good in the hands of skilled players and high elo players. So interesting change here, honestly, because there's only like very few people who are really good at Renekton and really tearing it up in the high elos. The Camille W cooldown went from 15.9 to 17.11. This is kind of nice. It's just so you can lane easier against it. She has less poke, less sustain overall. Just a good change overall. It's not gonna make it like completely unplayable or anything like that, but just a good one. Caitlyn gets another small buff. So Caitlyn's gotten like quite a bit of small buffs in the patches, so you could totally expect to start finally creeping up in the meta. I mean, it's a small one again, 80 per level 3.3 to 3.8, attack speed per level 3.5 to 4%. But All these small buffs stacking up will eventually make it a really, really good pick. The Fiora passive damage went from 2 to 5% plus 0.5% per 100 ED to 3% flat and a 5.5. So vitals are going to hurt a lot more. Fiora honestly needs it. She somehow lacks really hard this season. A lot of people thought she was going to do really good with the new Hydra and stuff, but she just really has been lacking really, really hard. Then we have Soraka again, a Q movement speed bonus from 1525 to 20 to 30%. And her W base heal from 90 to 230 to 100 to 240. Really interesting change here because Soraka's doing pretty good. I've seen people talk about how she's kind of a rising pick, but the one problem with it is she's easy to get dove. And I imagine the heal was for Moonstone compensation. And the small move speed is actually pretty nice because it is a percentage. But it's really interesting to see Soraka get some buffs because she's doing pretty alright. And they are looking to actually update her later this year. Not full scale VGU, but some sort of small update more like Wukong and Annie. Interesting change for sure. Varus's W active went from 0.50 to 0 to 80% increased damage based on how long you charge your Q. And the W max from 921 to 10.8 to 25.2% missing HP damage. Nice buff, but don't think it'll do much. Varus is in a really crappy state, and just making his W do a little bit more percent missing out on how long you charge your Q is not going to be enough. Brahm's R cooldown went from 140 to 100 to 120 to 80. Very nice buff, very nice buff. Especially when other supports have very high impact, low cooldown ultimates. This is really nice to try to get him back in the game here because he is really just he's good when you duo with someone, but so much solo Q and not so much. He's kind of lackluster. They buffed Jinx again. Her base health has gone up from 550 to 610. Not massive change, but definitely a welcome one with how much damage supports are doing. So definitely good, especially with their last round of buffs. Yeah, this will probably make her really nice and very playable. I'm pretty sure she's doing really good after the last set of buffs. So interesting to see it again. Veigar's Q mana cost went from 4060 to 3060, and his R cooldown went from 12080 to 12060. So be prepared late game for Veigar to get those very low cooldowns ultimates. It's very insane, especially with the new Cosmic Drive too. If he decides to build this, will be pretty insane. Actually, in fact, I would imagine that a lot of Veigars would want to build a new Cosmic Drive with this change. Talon's W cooldown went from 9 seconds to 9 to 7 seconds, and his W outgoing bonus AD went from 0.4 to 0.55. I'm sure Yami's really happy about this, and any Talon mains out there. It just doesn't seem that big to me, so I guess it won't have much of an impact, but I'm sure Talon mains are happy because lower cooldown just means you have better trading patterns. Lee Sin's Q cooldown from 11 to 7 to 10 to 6. That's a 1 second one. That's probably not that big, but helps the clear speed, so it must be nice. 3 AD base for Tryndamere. We love seeing the base AD of 3 buff and nerf because it really does so much. Yes, all the more power to Tryndamere mains out there. Amu's E base damage from 75 to 155 to 75 to 175. Probably giving them damage back because they realized they hard nerfed him at the start of preseason when it really wasn't him and it was more so the items than him. And then let's look at the jungle thread real quick. So the jungle changes they're proposing here are very controversial in themselves because they are lowering the amount of base XP and gold given by the camps, also increases some of the health. So for starters here, you can see Gromp is given a little bit less XP, less gold, and has 100 more HP. And that's the trend here everywhere. So the XP per level is down, the base XP is down, the gold is down, even on small quirks the base XP is down as well, and then for the large Razor Beak as well. So these are controversial changes because the jungle is an incredibly powerful position right now. Some say it has way too much agency in the game right now, and it could definitely feel like that when you're going against top tier jungles like Hecarim and some sorts of that. But when you look past the few exceptions of the top tier picks, a lot of junglers are struggling so hard. The first that comes to mind is Shaco because he's so memeable, but lots of junglers that are not fast clearers are doing really bad. So people are upset about this change because those slow clearers will do even worse than before, and they think they should just tune down the actual champions themselves over the role. But we'll see what kind of impact this has. It's a really harder one to, I guess, examine because it's more just gold and XP value, so everyone in the jungle is just going to have a worse experience overall. So I can't really predict much here, but interesting change nonetheless, and I feel bad for jungle mains out there. But that about wraps up the 11.4 patch preview, and with that, leave any questions down below, what you like to see, what you hated about it, and let me know what I could do better, because I love hearing from you guys. And hopefully you guys are enjoying your morning so far. It's probably not morning for you guys actually, but hopefully you enjoy your day soon so far. So hopefully get some water and take care of yourself, because I know I haven't been in the best spots myself either. And thank you for stopping by. I really enjoy every single one of you for coming. Even if you don't comment, it's okay. Even if you just watch my video, it's enough. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.